So welcome to this YogaX movement practice. We are continuing on our theme of joy, one of the four brahma viharas, or the wise emotions, or mature emotions, or the mature abodes. It's this place within us where we have wisdom and emotional maturity that allows us to be in community in a way that supports the greater good, that allows for the positive transformation and evolution of all sentient beings we come in contact with. So it's like a big thing, right? And joy is one of the four aspects, or one of the four brahma viharas. And as I mentioned last week, my favorite translation these days is actually appreciative joy. Sometimes you hear it translated as sympathetic joy or altruistic joy, which is also a lovely translation, empathic joy. And it really is all of that. It isn't just joy for the sake of joy, but it is joy that is absolutely integrated with this air of gratitude that you have for yourself, for your community, for your environment, for really everything that supports you on this earth. And so this will be how we emphasize joy this month, as this is our theme, is this sort of expansion of the heart in gratitude that allows joy to blossom. There's also a sense of abundance in that, and this is not abundance in the sense of having worldly possessions, but abundance in the sense of having what you need to actually have a basis for this joy. And this may look very, very different for all of us, depending on our actual sort of grounding in society. So this is, of course, where we see disparities, health disparities, social disparities, political disparities entering into the ease with which we can access this sense of joy. And so I want you to have that in your mind, that this is why gratitude is such an important aspect of joy, and why recognizing privilege is an important aspect of joy, especially the capacity to share joy and to feel joy for other people. And so we will continue to explore joy in that way, and maybe find that we can access that sense of grateful rejoicing in all kinds of situations. And so today we will explore it in twisting postures, which might be challenging postures at times, because they do awaken toxins in our body from the way we squeeze our organs. And so sometimes they make us a little grumpy or moody. It helps to drink a lot of water after you've done twisting poses. And so we will sit with that today and see if we can cultivate joy through that practice. All right, so enough talking. From here, I invite you to take a position on your back for the opening centering. And maybe it would be nice for your body to have a blanket under the head. You'll notice that if your chin juts up when you lie down, you want to bring a blanket under the head so that the forehead is higher than the chin. And that just brings you more into your parasympathetic nervous system. If your throat is hyperextended, you tend to move into a sympathetic state. So just settle yourself into your body here. And I invite you to kind of wiggle your body into the earth so that you really feel the contact you're making with the earth, feeling the boundary between you and the earth, and yet that supportive oneness that comes from that contact with the earth. And perhaps as you wiggle yourself into place, you could take a moment to ponder the miracle that you actually have, this human body that you can sort of wiggle and ease into this position. And perhaps even have a sense of joyful gratitude for your capacity to embody yourself physically. Once your body is settled into an easeful position where you feel held by the earth, I invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable, or to cast your gaze downward so that you don't have so many distractions from your visual world. And then I invite you to find a very conscious breath. Not a breath that you're altering in any way. Simply pay attention to how the breath is moving in and out of your body in this moment. You might notice the breath very physically in how it feels for air to flow in and out of your nose. Maybe noticing that on the inhalation, the breath feels cool in your nostrils, and on the exhalation, the breath feels warm in your nostrils. Or you might feel your breath physically as the rising of the belly with the inhalation and the falling of the belly with the exhalation. If you're really attuned to your body, you may notice that the rising of the belly is tied to the diaphragm contracting into the abdomen, making space for the lungs to inflate. And you might notice the diaphragm relaxing toward the lungs with the exhalation, supporting the release of the breath. You might also physically feel the breath in the expansion and contraction of the lower rib cage. And you could also attend to whether there is movement higher up in the rib cage, maybe even as high up as the clavicles. Again, we're not trying to create anything here. You are observing without altering the breath. And as you have this experience of the breath as a physical phenomenon, then also begin to notice the breath as energy. And so you might notice the texture of the breath. Is it flowing smoothly as it travels in and out, or are there little hitches or glitches in the flow of the breath? How long does it take to inhale? And how long does it take to exhale? Be curious about your own breathing as it unfolds naturally. How much breath is traveling in and out? Is your breath deep or shallow today? Witnessing with curiosity how the breath is moving. How this natural breathing unfolds for you. And perhaps as you watch the breath here, you can tune in to emotions that arise as you engage in this witnessing of this amazing process that sustains your life every moment of every day. Can there be a sense of joyful gratitude for the breath flowing in and the breath flowing out? Is there the possibility of feeling a sense of abundance, of having what you need in this moment? As you receive the breath and are able to release and let go of the breath. And as you continue to find ease in the body and ease in your breath, I invite you to take your hands and your arms up in front of you to interlace your fingers with each other. And then take that little basket that your hands are making and bring it behind the head underneath you. So that you can feel the bones of your fingers on the back of your scalp. Really letting the heaviness of the head settle into your hands. Maybe feeling the thumb somewhere in the region of the occiput, the bottom of the skull where it meets the spine. Not moving your head at all, and this is really key. Gently open your eyes and then look to the right. It's like you're looking toward your right elbow. You may not ever really see it. It may be out of your view. And make sure you're not moving your head at all as you turn the eyes, just the eyes, to the right. Maybe even inviting a very gentle smile into your face. This might be more difficult than it sounds. And so resist the urge to move the head. Just the eyes are gazing to the right. We will hold this about 30 seconds or so when we're working within a group. If you feel the urge to swallow or yawn or sigh, you've actually already accomplished what needs to be accomplished here, and your eyes can come to center. And since it's been about 30 seconds, we'll all bring the eyes to center, and then, keeping the head perfectly stable, turn your gaze, just your eyeballs, to the left, gazing toward, maybe never seeing your left elbow. And holding the eyes steady, gazing to the left, without any movement in the head, just pointing straight up. Of course, you're continuing to breathe here. If you already had an urge to swallow or sigh, you may turn the eyes forward, and in fact, all of us can do that now. And then from here, I invite you to gently begin the journey toward a seat. Doing this slowly and gently. And once you've found a seat, you can place your palms on your thighs, or you can bring them together at your heart and bow your head to heart center to invite your intention for your time on the mat today. Maybe that intention will link in some way to our theme of finding appreciative joy, abundance, and gratitude. And then gently release your hands. And find a comfortable seat here. You can be in easy seat, which is what I'm doing. If you are in easy seat and you feel your spine rounding, you might want a blanket under the hips so that it's easier to keep an easeful lower back. If easy seat is not so easy for you, which it really isn't for a lot of people, you can come into hero's pose with a block under the feet. I'll show this from the back like this, so that the hips are higher than the knees. And that too facilitates a nice neutral spine. So yogi's choice of how you will sit. You could even sit on a chair or on a meditation bench. Any seat will do. Have access to your blocks in case you might need them. So if you're sitting on one, have the other one available. And then with your next inhalation, lift the arms up and overhead, making this a very deliberate movement, feeling the musculature on your arms. And then when you exhale, release the arms down, pretending that you're moving through some kind of viscous substance, honey, molasses, nut butter of your choice. Nutella seems to be a favorite for this little imagery. And as you work against this substance, you feel the arms engaging here. And just notice if this can be a joyful engagement, sort of an engagement of gratitude for the muscles that help you lift and lower your arms in space. The next time the arms are overhead, keep them there. And then catch the left wrist with the right hand and take a gentle side bend to the right as you exhale, keeping the left side body open as you engage in this movement, and then breathe here. And notice how different the breath might be compared to when you were lying on the back, observing your breathing. Just as in a twist, you're starting to compress one side of the body here. So right now you're compressing the right side of the lung, and the left lung has the opportunity to inflate more. And just notice what this creates for you in the body, but also in your emotional state. With your next inhalation, rise up, let the arms separate, and then clasp the right wrist with the left hand and come into the side bend with an exhalation to the other side, feeling now the lengthening in the right side body and perhaps the compression in the left side of your lungs. Keeping your heart open, so not collapsing forward like this, but staying nice and open. Beautiful. And notice what's happening to the breath. Maybe even notice if there is a difference in the ease of breathing when you were side bent to the right versus the left. Which compression is more challenging, or which opening is more easeful. And then rise up with an inhalation, and we'll do this one more time. So clasp the left wrist and side bend to the right. Maybe noticing if the range of motion has changed. Maybe your side bend is a little bit deeper without over-efforting here, without bracing yourself into the bend. Just Just yielding to what's possible. And then with your next inhalation, rise up, separate the arms, and then clasp the right wrist as you exhale, bend to the left. And notice, yet again, with deep appreciation for your body and your breath, what is unfolding for you here as you're compressing on the left side and opening on the right. With your next inhalation, rise up, bring the arms to goalpost. And then as you inhale, open your heart forward. Maybe the head travels back a small amount. This is not a huge back bend. And then as you exhale, roll yourself into a slide forward, hold a slight flexion in the spine, and flow like this with your own breath. Becoming expansive and open as you inhale, and drawing inward and forward as you exhale. And notice how this translates into physical movement and also your emotional state. What is your energetic response to the open heart? Maybe you can even hold there for a breath or two if that feels comfortable for your neck and your spine in general. And let yourself feel that. Can you tap into your emotions? Is there any sense of appreciation, abundance, or joy here? And then with your next exhalation, roll forward and hold there for a moment. Noticing the physical change in creating this flexion in the spine now, the forward gaze, the drawing inward, the slowing down. And what is the emotional state that might be associated with this? Maybe it's still joyful and yet not as expansive, but a quieter sense of joy or appreciation. With your next inhalation, move back into an open heart and then flow 2 more times just with your breath, without a longer hold. And the next time you've inhaled, bring the arms up. And from here, it might be helpful for you to have a block. You can start, and I'll show this from the side. You can start by bringing it behind you, and you may or may not need it. As we take a gentle little twist now to the right as we exhale. So the left hand travels to the outside of the right thigh, and maybe the right hand needs a block to find grounding. If it doesn't, it can come to the earth. So yogi's choice, with or without a prop. As you hold your body still here, in this very gentle twist. And perhaps notice the physical sensations that arise from this twist, resisting the urge to overdo here. You're not muscling yourself into the twist by pressing the left hand against the right thigh. You're using your core to turn. The left hip might come forward. That's much healthier for your pelvis. You're keeping your SI joint aligned. So there's a little bit of turn in the entire pelvic region here. As the heart opens toward the back, and maybe the head even turns and looks behind you over the back shoulder. In addition to the physical experience, what is emerging for you emotionally here? With your next inhalation, let yourself grow tall through the spine. Bring the arms to shoulder height. Rewiggle yourself into place. If you are in a cross-legged seat, I encourage you to change cross. I should have done that sooner. If you haven't already, then change the cross of your legs. And then with your next exhalation, turn to the other side, letting the right side of the pelvis move forward now. And it's really not that the right side of the pelvis is moving forward, it's that the whole pelvis is turning into the twist. Maybe the head travels and looks over the back shoulder, maybe it looks straight ahead, maybe it even looks forward. Whatever feels most appropriate for your neck. And so tune into the physical sensations of this twist. Where do you feel the reverberations inside your body here? Do you notice the difference side to side in the lungs and the compression of your internal organs? And what unfolds for you emotionally here, if anything? With your next inhalation, lift the arms up, and we'll take this one more time to the other side. You may have to re-wiggle your pelvis, and then as you turn, let the pelvis turn into the twist. As you open the heart here, rising through the crown of the head as you inhale, and maybe turning more deeply as you exhale. Can you invite a sense of joyful appreciation for the capacity of your body and your breath to collaborate to help you make this shape? Inhale, let the arms rise up, reset your seat, and then move to the other side, letting the pelvis turn into the twist. And once again, sensing into your body, sensing into what's happening inside. And noticing if you can invite a sense of joy here, a sense of appreciation. With your next inhalation, turn back to center, and if you're seated on a prop, go ahead and remove that. And then find your way to standing. And again, have your blocks handy, as you might want to use them as we're working in a little bit of twisting in forward folding. So from here, as you inhale, just as we did before, let the arms rise up. And then as you exhale, you will fold in your forward fold hip joint until the hands can reach the blocks. So you're in essence in a half lift here. Draw the belly button toward the spine and let the pelvic floor float up inside of you so that you are in touch with your own inner strength. You're creating a sense of stability in your core. At the same time, you're grounding through your feet and you're grounding through your hands. You might in this moment feel the backs of the legs as your hamstrings are getting a little bit of a stretch here. The crown of the head points forward as you're in this half lift. And then from here, with your next exhalation, I invite you to take the left hand and bring it to the outside of the right calf to come into a very gentle turn here. The head might peek under the right armpit. And then breathe here. Feeling the compression, perhaps, of the ascending colon, the lower part of your abdomen here on the right side. With your next inhalation, lift back up to your half lift, and as you exhale, switch sides. Right hand travels to the outside of the left shin, your face peeks through the opening above your left armpit. And maybe as the hamstrings loosen up here, you can make that twist a little tighter. And then with your next inhalation, rise back up to your blocks. From here, you can put the blocks to the side and then bring your hands to the floor as you walk your legs behind you to come into a down dog. You might want to start here with knees bent, letting your body settle into this downward dog. Finding extension in the spine by pressing the hands into the earth and the hips away from the hands to find a long, long spinal column here. Again, the knees probably want to be bent in this moment, but you might feel the urge to pedal them out, and so feel free to walk your dog by pressing one knee straight and then the other knee straight, just walking it out. Settle into this downward dog position and just notice what's happening inside of you physically, how you're responding to this posture, this movement, this challenge emotionally, and invite a sense of joy. Even if it doesn't show up right now, just invite it anyway. And then from here, make your core very, very stable. So drawing the pelvic floor up, drawing the belly button in. And then bring your right hand toward the center of the short edge of the mat. Unweight the left hand and really press into the right hand, creating that length in the spine. And then reach the right hand to the left hand to the outside of the right shin or knee or thigh, doesn't matter where it lands, and twist into your downward facing dog. Breathe into this twist and just notice what's happening to the breath here. There's increased effort now, increased challenge. And with your next inhalation, come back to your down dog or take a rest in child's pose if you need to before you do the other side. Just a breath or two to recover, and then whenever you are ready, you can take the other side by bringing the left hand toward the center of the short edge of the mat, unweighting the right hand, and then placing it to the outside of the left leg, peeking under the left armpit with your face, and taking in the full challenge of this pose, and then maybe the full joy of being able to be in this shape. Even if you're modifying, the knees are bent, or maybe the knees are even on the ground, it doesn't matter. You have a body that can at least attempt this pose, or maybe you're even lying on your belly and you're just imagining the pose. That's great too. With your next inhalation, come back into your downward dog and rest here for a moment, or rest in child's pose. Yogi's choice. Being honest with yourself about what it is that you need right now. Where can you find a restful position to recover the breath, to recover your strength, to recover an easeful mind? And then from wherever you are, whether it's child's pose or downward dog, come down onto your knees and come to a seat. Swing the hips to one side and bring the feet out in front of you. Coming into staff pose, and just as in easy seat, if you tend to collapse a little bit into your lower back, it might be nice to bring a lift under the sits bones so that you very naturally can sit upright here and feel comfortable. You might want to have a block handy behind you. It's not crucial for this particular twisting sequence. And then go ahead and take your hands and place them under the left thigh, and then use the hands to bring the leg up, to bend the knee. And keep about a hand's width distance between the left foot and the right thigh. And then give your your left knee a hug with your left elbow. With an inhalation, lift the right arm up and then twist to the right, bringing the hand behind you, maybe on your block that's waiting for you there, or on the floor if that feels appropriate. You can use your hand as sort of a little support for your spine here. You can really press yourself tall and feel this beautiful twist that really includes a heart opening. It includes the spaciousness of extension through the spine. And it presents a really lovely challenge for your physical being and your energetic being as it alters the breath a little bit here. And so see if you can invite a sense of joyful appreciation for your ability to be here, to sit here physically and emotionally. With your next inhalation, lift the arm up and release it down. Let the left leg come down and bring the right knee up. Hug the right knee with your right elbow. Flex the left toes back, and I forgot to prompt that on the other side, but that gives you a lot more engagement in the straight leg. And so that's a nice little addition. If you let the foot flop on the other side, because I didn't cue it, nothing terrible will happen. It just adds a little work to engage the foot back here. And then with an inhalation, lift, find extension, and with an exhalation, turn into the twist. Let the pelvis move into the twist as well. And then find your open heart here. Notice what's happening to the breath as you're compressing, squeezing, challenging. Can your open heart in this posture put you in touch with the joyful nature of it in the midst of challenge? With your next inhalation, lift yourself back up, and this time keep the positioning of your legs. And now take the left elbow and hook it around the right knee. So this is a much more closed twist now than before. So hook around the right knee. Lift your right arm up and then bring it behind you to twist to the right, really squeezing the right knee into the torso now. And really feeling the squeeze on the low abdomen of your leg. The head can be straight forward, or you can gaze across your shoulder. Yogi's choice. Notice how that might change the pose, that might change the energy of the pose. And flex that left foot back. Breathe and notice. With your next inhalation, find your stability, find your lift, and return forward, releasing this time the right leg in front of you, and then bring the left knee up. Hugging the left knee now with the right elbow. Letting the pelvis turn into the twist so that right side of the pelvis might move ahead of the left. Make your little support with your arm. Flex the right toes back and squeeze the left leg toward your torso. Any amount. And notice if you can joyfully settle into the experience of the pose. There are likely lots of physical sensations. There are likely profound changes in the breath here. And these might reverberate in what the story is that your mind is telling you. And so invite the mind to find a joyful story here, a story of appreciation, that your body is able to do this and that your breath can still function here. With your next inhalation, find the strength in your core, find the expansiveness through the spine, and release yourself forward. Beautiful. From here, scoot yourself toward the top of the mat so that you can release yourself onto your back. Rolling yourself down. However feels comfortable for you. I just automatically roll down. But you could use your elbows to support you on the path down. And then from here, once again, wiggle your body into the earth, make yourself comfortable. And this time, walk the hips away from the shoulders and the shoulders away from the hips, so that you can actually feel your entire spine making some contact with the earth. There will be less contact in the lumbar spine because you do have a little bit of a natural curve there, and that will stay there. You don't want to make it completely flat, but have a real sense that the entire spine is supported by the earth here. And then straighten the right leg, keeping the left knee bent. And then lift your hips a little bit to lift them up and set them down about an inch or two to the left. And then bring the right hand to the outside of the left knee and let the right hand guide the left knee toward the floor. It doesn't have to go to the floor. If it hovers, you could bring a blanket or a block under it, but it's also okay for that knee to just hover there. You might notice that after a while, there's a little bit more give anyway, and that the knee can actually descend closer to the floor. Your face can either face in the direction of the knee, or you can increase the twist in the spine by either facing upward or facing to the opposite side of the knee, coming into multiple rotations in the spine here. And then just notice how this feels in your abdomen and in your lungs. You might hear the difference even in my voice, as my breath is very different here than when I'm not in this very full twist. Breathe into this twist with patience. And breathe into this twist with appreciation. With your next inhalation, rise back up to center. And then switch the legs, straighten the left knee, bend the right knee. Reset your pelvis for the moment, just to being at center. And then lift the pelvis up and scoot it an inch or two to the right. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee and guide it to the left. The opposite shoulder stays toward or on the earth. Your head can turn in the direction of the knee. It can face up, or it can turn the other way. And since we're taking fairly long holds, you could even explore how it feels in all of those directions and notice the difference in your physical and energetic experience. Breathe very consciously. If the mind wanders away, re-anchor it to the breath. Re-anchor it to the curiosity about how the body feels in this shape, how the breath reverberates through the body, and how you're dealing with the challenge of this shape. With your next inhalation, rise back up to center. Replace the hips at the center of the mat. Reset the spine a little bit. Maybe again feeling a little bit more contact with the earth, and then walk the feet not hip distance, but mat distance apart. So 1 foot at each edge of the mat. And then from here, you'll move with your own breath, or you can hold on one side and then the other side. It's really up to you. Start with an exhalation, bringing both knees to the right. Maybe the head turns to the left, maybe it faces straight up. And then again, you can either hold here or you can move with the breath, inhaling to bring the knees up, and then exhaling to bring them to the other side as the head moves in the opposite direction. For me, this feels really luxurious and joyful when I move with the breath. But I know for some people, it actually feels much more comfortable when they find one side and hold, and then after a while switch sides. So it's really up to you, and you could explore and see what your body desires in this moment. And just as with the prior twist, you might notice as you do this a few times, or as you're holding for a while, the legs can descend further and further, and the twist becomes deeper and deeper in the abdomen. And there are different reverberations then in your organs and in your lungs. The next time you inhale, bring the knees to center. Bring your arms to your side and then ground the upper arms into the earth and let the fingertips point to the sky. So you're bending the elbows here. And then press into the arms at the same time that you inhale and lift the hips up into a small bridge pose. Really supporting that bridge pose with your arms, feeling the shoulder blades beneath you, feeling the curl in the spine as you lift up. And you can either hold here or you can lift and lower a couple of times. Yogi's choice. If you are lifting and lowering, lift and lower one more time. If you're still holding, feel free to continue to hold or come down anytime it feels like it's becoming too much. And then let's all meet back on the mat as we exhale the hips down. And fold the knees into the chest, catching them perhaps with your hands, maybe even giving them a full hug As you rock very gently side to side, and maybe at the same time you walk your hips away from the shoulders so you really feel your spine grounding on the earth. And then just notice what other movements your body might like to make before it releases into Shavasana. Maybe some circles with the knees. Or maybe even figure eights with the knees, a little more demanding for the brain and the body, but really fun and joyful. Or maybe you're more inclined toward a happy baby, catching your feet. And even in happy baby, you could rock side to side. Maybe you want a figure four on one side, and then the other side. Just sort of explore and notice what might bring your body joy right now. And give in to that urge for the moment. Playing here with what feels good. And then when you feel that you've released any tension that may have been created through the twisting and you've found some joyful ways of moving your body, when you're ready, go ahead and settle yourself into your Shavasana position. And you have choices here again. You might bring a blanket under the head. You might bring a blanket under the knees, especially if you have a low back that gets tweaked easily. But you could also bring your legs up a wall, or you could bring your calves onto a chair or a yoga ball. Just finding a nice supine position that feels comfortable, that feels appropriate, and easeful. And I invite you to close your eyes if you haven't already, or to cast your gaze downward. And once again, settle yourself into your body. Invite the body to settle into the earth. And then gently invite the breath to become easeful and natural. And let your awareness become spacious. There is no need to attend to anything in this moment. Become spacious and open without derailing into mental stories. If the mind wanders away, just invite it to come back into this open awareness that you're in this moment, that you're in this space, that you've created challenge and you've transformed it into joy. And as you find this sense of spaciousness, of openness, awareness, I invite you into a couple of minutes of silence. Gently begin to wiggle your body and invite a conscious inhalation and exhalation. Invite your senses to awaken to the world around you. As you hear sounds, feel the earth beneath you, and perhaps begin to blink the eyes open. And gently begin to prepare or begin the journey to your right side. And maybe rest there for a moment. Noticing your body, noticing your breath, noticing your mind. And then finally, find your way to a comfortable seat. Once you have reached your seated position, your hands might rest on your thighs, or maybe your palms come together at your heart. As you bow your head to heart center. And tune into your body for a moment. Notice what's present there. As I mentioned earlier, twists can be a challenge for your system. You may have released some toxins, and so you might feel a significant amount of thirst. And so after class, you might really want to take a nice glass of water. And then notice your breath. A twisting practice often helps the lungs become more creative and more elastic. And so perhaps the breath feels a bit freer. And yet your energy sometimes is affected by twisting. And so just notice what's present emotionally. And invite whatever challenge may present itself to transform into the joy of appreciation. From there, I invite you to reconnect to the intention you set at the beginning of class. If it's still appropriate, continue to hold it into your heart and bring it into your life, or maybe it has transformed and a new intention emerged. By the way, with your next in-breath, seal it into your heart. And with your next out-breath, vow to take it off the mat and into your world. Thank you so much for practicing with me. It's an honor and a pleasure. Take really good care. Thank you, everyone.